free. And if you listen on iHeartRadio, you can leave a quick message there on the talkback button. We'll get to some of those. If you listen from out of state, tell me where. Steve is at Fort Hood in Texas. Chris is one of our bureau chiefs in Pittsburgh. Kyle listens in Kansas City. Sarah is up in Rawlins, Wyoming. And Melinda is one of our bureau chiefs in Green Bay, Wisconsin. If you're watching at AlanCoxShow.com, thank you to Hobby Jagushwesh for helping out. Boy, you do a show for one Indian audience and you go all in. Good for you. Hobby Jagushwesh.
Some things are just coincidental.
Mm-hmm. It's Punjab if I ever heard it. So thank you, sir or madam, with that. Also at AlanCoxShow.com, there's the latest episode of the Bill Squire Show and the latest Poundcake podcast. Amber Turd and Grinder stalking. But there'll be a new one tomorrow, right?
Correct.
Along with the Poundcake Sports Break.
Correct.
And what's a little sneak peek of tomorrow's Poundcake podcast?
Oh, my God. I think I'm just going to go over this Roe v. Wade thing.
Oh, boy.
I know, but, like, I'm going to talk about it.
Listen, it's your piece of real estate. Do whatever you want to do.
Wow,
I talk about it here. You should talk about it
there. Do you
there.
want to make an appearance on my podcast, Alan?
You're
the only person that hasn't.
I do not. But thank you. I do appreciate the invitation. Anything I have to say, I say here.
You don't ever do a podcast?
I do not. I am invited on podcasts all the time, and I respectfully decline the invitations.
He did do an episode of Flicks and Bill.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. I was waiting for you.
I did?
Yeah.
Did I?
We talked about some music thing.
I don't remember that.
It was a while ago.
Oh, okay.
I mean, this is like 3 years ago.
Long time ago, yeah. No, people ask me all the time, and I'm like, listen, I appreciate it. Thank you. But I have my own show. Like, I don't... I
know.
You know.
Yeah, I don't know. I was browsing around topics, and nothing is really in the headlines other than this and the Amber Heard trial. And I've done 2 episodes on the Amber Heard.
Well, there's all kinds of things in the headlines. Listen, if you want to...
It's not tickling him where he...
I understand.
I need misery. I need anger.
Misery. I need misery and anger.
So maybe I'll touch on it. I don't know if it'll be the whole podcast, but I do want to talk about it.
I was reading that Starbucks is going to add abortion travel to their benefits.
Studio 54. That's what we talked about.
With Mike Myers.
No, there was a documentary about it, and we talked about it.
Yeah, okay.
So, and it was. Let's see what that was.
It was a while ago. Flicks and Bill hasn't even been a thing
March 14th,
for a minute.
2019.
March 14th, 2019. Mm-hmm. There you go. So almost 3 years to the day.
Yeah.
Yeah, depending on who you talk to, Starbucks has amazing benefits. I've talked to it. I don't know if this is uniformly across the country, but I've talked to people who work locally at Starbucks. I've talked to people who worked at Starbucks in other cities, other larger cities. And they tell me almost to a person that Starbucks in general has great benefits, which made me confused as to why there were so many people pushing for unions at Starbucks around the country. So maybe it's not uniform. I don't know. I'm sure there are some people working for Starbucks, but I'm talking like even part-timers. I'm sure there's some people working at Starbucks who maybe don't have access to those. I don't know. But Starbucks said that they will add abortion travel coverage to their benefits in the U.S. Of course, if things go the way everybody thinks they're going to go, everybody has to prepare for this. We will become a country where your access to health care, because abortion is, of course, health care, your access to health care will be contingent on what state you live in, which would put us in an unprecedented position. So Starbucks as a corporation will reimburse U.S. employees if they have to travel more than 100 miles from their home to obtain an abortion. Amazon does this. Microsoft is going to do this. And there's a growing list of other companies that are going to start to offer this as part of their benefits.
Can I guess what is going to be a talking point?
Sure.
People are going to get pregnant so they can get an abortion and get a free vacation.
A free vacation. Wow.
Believe me.
Because you have to show proof that you got an abortion?
Yeah, so you have to really get an abortion, but people will be like, oh, they're just going to get pregnant, get an abortion. Dude, don't even...
Shut up, Bill. This is so dumb.
I'm not saying that anyone's going to do that. I'm saying...
That'll be the right-wing talking point.
There will be a talking point where somebody says that, and they will mean it.
Yeah, but this is a private company adding to their benefits package, so I don't see why somebody else would have an issue with,
I need 6 extra weeks off, so I needed to get pregnant real quick.
No, but this isn't about time off. This is about, like, if you have to drive more than 100 miles,
Yes, but they get compensated for that. It's going to be a state like California or Oregon that's going to still have abortion after this passes.
Right, so someone's going to...
they're going to say it's
if you're in Ohio,
vacation.
If you're in Ohio, you can't get one in Ohio.
Right.
You're going to have to go to probably New York.
Yeah.
Or Illinois.
Yeah.
Maybe Michigan.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like it's what are the Michigan ads with Tim Allen? Pure Michigan.
Pure Michigan.
Pure abortion. And then you get it reimbursed through because I'm telling you, that's what somebody's going to come up with.
I can't wait.
Huh.
So I'm calling it now.
I hadn't thought of that.
I'm calling it now. Someone's going to bring that up, and they're going to act like that's why people are going to want to get abortions now.
Well, wait a second, but that's all contingent on them working at Starbucks. So the thought is going to be they'll get a job at Starbucks because they figure they'll get pregnant.
They'll have a job already, but and then they'll say, and it's a slippery slope because that's what they always say. So before you know it, all these woke businesses are going to have some sort of policy like this, and people are going to take advantage because anybody that needs some sort of benefit, because they're under, they're not making enough money, they take advantage of those benefits, right?
I guess I don't consider. I know you're goofing around, but
yeah. I'm just saying that this is what someone is going to
it's still pretty,
use as a talking point.
Right, but it's also pretty sad that people think people are living high on the hog on benefits.
Right, that's
like health care and paid time off.
Things that
shouldn't even be controversial.
No.
If you give people a little bit, you have other people like, that's too much.
You should only be able to have health care if you are working 60 hours a week.
Now, I also assume that when it comes to Starbucks, this will also depend on how far along you are. I mean, if you're still tall or grande, you're good. I think if you're venti, it might be a little bit more trouble. But
yeah.
I guess they'll have to figure that out.
I saw some dum-dum saying something about getting an abortion at 8 months, and it was just like...
Well, this is what the
about?
pro-choice movement has to contend with. There's no 100% on either side, right? The pro-choice movement does have to contend with late-term abortions because just as the anti-choice side is saying no exceptions whatsoever,
right?
The pro-choice side is saying no exceptions whatsoever, and that makes people nervous. There's even people who are pro-choice are nervous at the prospect of late-term abortions with good reason. So I think most people, if you take the public figures out of it, and if you take the Jesus thumpers out of it, and the people who are kind of negotiating in bad faith, if you take the bulk of voters, people who say, I don't want this overturned, people who call themselves pro-life, who go, I don't want this overturned, right? There still have to be some conversations about, is there a place where everybody can kind of go, okay, I'll give you some of this, you give me some of this. Like, for example, about half of all fertilized eggs are spontaneously aborted, right? Just in the normal course of being a woman. So that's a miscarriage. Usually happens before a woman even knows she's pregnant.
If they're married.
What?
If they're married, is it called a miscarriage?
A miscarriage can happen even before she knows she's pregnant. So if you're one of these hardcore human life begins at fertilization, you would have to say a spontaneous abortion is the same as when a toddler dies. No, I don't think that a lot of people will be willing to say that. And if not, why not? So that's kind of on the other side. On the pro-choice side, you have to allow that a human organism with all the genetic makeup of a person, the argument is about what's the moral weight of that and what's the legal weight of that. So, all these states that are just, they've got diamond hard boners to deprive women of reproductive rights. They don't actually have plans in place to implement. Are they going to put pregnant women in prison? I don't think anybody's looking to do that. Maybe there are some people who are looking to do that, but I think most people are, I'll be generous and say I think most people on this subject are trying to be sane about it. But it's understandably an insane issue. And it doesn't make anybody feel good when states are like, nope, it's all going away.
Well, and again, to play devil's advocate, we're probably about 20 years away from a children of men situation where nobody can get pregnant anyway. So
it's physically impossible to get pregnant. Because of climate change and
climate
things.
Change,
in it.
And we'll be full of microplastics and our taints are shrinking. All these different things adding to it. Oh, boy.
Yeah, like sperm counts are plummeting. And so we're not far off from this not even being an issue. Boy, that'll be, climate change, as much as right-wingers have denied climate change, that might they might get hoisted by their own petard. Climate change and environmental shifts might make everybody infertile. Think about that over the course of, probably take a century or so for that to happen, a handful of generations.
I don't know. I feel like we could get it done in...
if we really put our minds to it.
If we really tried, I think we could get it done in 50 years.
Yeah.
If we really wanted to.
So, you know what? I'll hear messages from people that be like, I don't like the lack of civility. I'm like, look, what's happening outside Brett Kavanaugh's house is not the most important issue at hand, all right? People are getting all... Anti-choice people have spent decades turning women's clinics into war zones, and now they're all concerned about civility. They used to bomb Planned Parenthoods and kill doctors and a whole bit.
They did?
Of course. And now they're all, civility. Listen, I'm all for civility too, but don't be disingenuous about it. You're probably too young to remember all that, Poundcake.
Yeah, I remember that.
And there's also people candidates that have had to move a bunch that have been... We had a mayor, a governor, they tried to kidnap her.
Yeah, I do
That was
Gretchen Whitmer.
Yeah, what was that 2 years ago?
Michigan.
Also, there was a pretty big lack of civility.
And by the way,
on
that
January 6th.
That wasn't even for this. They tried to kidnap her because she wanted him to wear masks during a pandemic.
Because they were saying, my body, my choice.
So I guess the thought is the government can't force you to wear a face mask, but boy, they'll see to it that it forces you to give birth. So I don't know what the logic is there, but that's kind of what that whole Gretchen Whitmer thing seemed to be. And that's a woman with kids and a husband and, Hey, Michael.
Catholic. Hey.
Yo.
How you doing?
Hanging in.
Good. Hey, I was just calling about the stuff with the late-term abortions thing. Just wanted to clear up a couple of things. Like, first of all, those procedures are even less than 1% of all abortions that are performed in this country.
Correct.
Yeah, we're trying to pump those numbers up. Those are rookie numbers.
Rookie numbers.
What's that?
Those are rookie numbers, trying to pump them up, some people.
I'm making a Wolf of Wall Street joke.
Right. And they're not performed in places like abortion clinics or Planned Parenthood clinics that perform abortion services. They're performed in hospitals because they're medically indicated. They're medically necessary. So when you talk about them being elective, they're only elective in the sense that the patient gives consent for it to happen. They're not elective in that she's making a choice because they're necessary for either the health of the mother, the health of the mother, really. I mean, it's an abortion where it's just going to end. And otherwise, the woman will die from childbirth, and that's really the whole point.
Well, Michael,
so it's been an artificial argument since John Kerry ran for president.
Yeah. And you're absolutely correct. To your point, you're 100% correct. What I'm saying is, perception is reality. It's not reality is reality. Perception's reality. And so when people are trying to make the argument that there's no give on either side, they'll throw that at you. Even though you're correct that it's almost, most doctors won't even contend with them unless they absolutely have to, and but it's still something that will be used against the pro-choice people in bad faith.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. Hey, thank you, Michael. I appreciate. I don't know if Michael's a doctor or what, but thank you. So anyway,
He's something.
Poundcake's going to be talking about all this stuff on the Poundcake podcast. Now that is one I will listen to. Nobody knows the plight of a woman better than a gay man. Yeah. We've established that here on the show.
No one knows about getting your your baby body parts restricted.
You want to try that again? What? What are you saying?
Nothing. Never mind. I was going to
Your
say
baby body parts are restricted?
getting those taken
Nobody
away.
knows more about a lack of civility than my chief petty officer back there behind the glass.
So one time I had to take a family member to a Planned Parenthood. And they weren't even there they were just there for health care. Mm-hmm. And there's guys out there calling them whores and telling them that they're, bad people. Because what a lot of people don't understand about Planned Parenthood is the abortion that are, that's a very small percentage of what they do there.
Do not define me, whore.
So I stood out there with those guys and distracted them while people were coming and going because I didn't want them to harass anybody.
Now, how did you distract them? How did you make yourself a diversion? Did you tell jokes?
Do not define me, whore.
I asked them when I was like, so if we do this, when do we get to have sex with each other?
Did you pretend to be a protester?
I was basically saying like, we're here to like, well, kind of, because I was like, we're protesting so that we can kind of cancel out some of our sins. So we'll have some gay sex together. And then later, it's washed away because we're here protesting against these ladies. And they're like, what? And so then they're all paying attention to me. They're like, no, that's not what we're here for. We're not here to have gay sex. And I was like, no.
What if somebody had taken you up on it? You had to put your money where your mouth was.
You got to do what you got to do to protect the people you love.
Of course.
So.
Ooh, it feels so good.
I was explaining to him. I was like, hey. I thought that's what the whole point of this was. We're all a bunch of, strong men that appreciate another man's body. So we do this to get on the Lord's good side so that when we do the gay stuff,
I go put it in there.
Yeah. So and who's going to have fewer abortions than two guys having sex?
Right. So that like when we do the gay stuff, it kind of evens out. And they're like, that's not how it works. But I kept saying it did. And I kept them. And then like it got to a point where they're like telling me how they're selling baby parts in there for like, I'm like, how much are they selling baby lungs for? And they're like $75. I'm like, you're
$75.
You're
easily
insane.
transplantable.
Yeah.
No one wants to touch my vagina.
Mm-hmm.
So
Could I be pregonate? How do I know if I'm prengan? What is the best time to sex to become pregnant?
So anyway, I had sex 3 times that day.
Hey, congratulations.
Not with the guys, with the ladies that were going in and out.
I was going to say, yeah. I was.
They are ready to go.
Mm-hmm. Okay, let me take a break here. On the other side, I will have Tenacious D tickets for you. If you want to see Jables and Cage, the tour brings them to Blossom mid-September, the 16th. I don't think they've been through for a minute. So, Tenacious D, those tickets for you right after the break, and then 4:30. Another key word to get you some money, a chance for you to win $1,000 and go fund yourself.
It's the Alan Cox